It was my worst nightmare come to life. A ladder leading down into the deep darkness of an underground tunnel. In truth, it wasn't so much the ladder or even the tunnel that scared me, though as a member of one of the taller branches of pixies, the cramped and often dangerous conditions in Diva's ancient tunnels did put them on my list of least favorite places to be. No, the problem lay with the critters that so often used the tunnels as a highway to get around. Rats, to be precise. "Are you coming down or what?" The gruff voice rose from the dark depths below. "We ain't got a whole lot of time to play with here." "There are no rats, Beth," a second voice said. That one belonged to my brother Lugh, a 6'6" giant of a man who had very little fear of anything. But then, he hadn't woken to discover the beady-eyed bastards running over him as a kid. I glanced at the woman waiting on the other side of the heavy metal plate we'd moved to access the ladder. She had a thick-set body, heavily wrinkled, pale features, brown eyes that looked less than pleased right now, and a long plait of silver hair that ran down her back to her butt. She was also married to the impatient man below, though from the little Lugh had said about dwarven tunneling teams, whether they were freelancers or working for the National Fey Museum like these two, being married was an exception rather than the rule. "Is that true, Brega?" I couldn't keep the trepidation from my voice. "I know these are military tunnels rather than sewers, but I can't imagine they'd be totally rat-free." She sniffed. It was a sound that managed to be both impatient and amused. "There are rats everywhere in this city, but as far as tunnels go, these are fairly clean." She looked me up and down. "Why the hell is a long streak of pixies such as yourself scared of them little things?" "Most of us are scared of something," I wanted to mutter, but resisted the urge. I suspected Brega wasn't the type to feel sympathy for childhood terrors, especially when dwarves lived, breathed, and loved the underground places of this world, be they here in Diva or elsewhere across the UK. I edged closer to the ladder. It was surrounded by a circular metal cage that prevented you falling backward but didn't make me feel any safer, simply because it didn't prevent you falling down. Brega glanced pointedly at her watch. "We've roughly 10 minutes before security does the next pass, so you need to make up your mind. Are you going down, or are you staying up here?" I blew out a breath. Going down. No matter how much I hated rats, I couldn't let Lugh go to Niall's house alone. He'd not only been Lugh's best friend since boarding school, but had worked alongside him at the National Fey Museum. He'd met his death while researching Agronas Claws, and we believed the very same people responsible for his murder had recently made an attempt on Lugh's life. They'd also firebombed the family tavern I ran and had kidnapped both me and my ex, Matthew, using him to force me to find the Crown of Shadows for them. To top it all off, our mum disappeared 6 months ago. We only recently discovered her body. She'd been shot and then buried by a tunnel collapse. At this point, though, her death didn't seem linked to Niall's, but rather to the theft of the Aodháns hoard, a treasure of godly relics that had been guarded by the light elves for eons. Ever since we taller pixies had lost the job, in fact. Of course, given Niall had been researching the claws, a connection was technically possible. At this point, none of us were really certain of anything. Nothing other than the fact we'd find the bastards who'd killed Mum and make them pay, no matter what it took.